What's up, Jfw family? Welcome back to the Channel 23 podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to reach out and touch the fleet, to engage and inform everyone with all things JFW. Good morning, men.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning,
you guys.
Hi, everyone.
So, episode 48. I looked back. Our first episode was October 5th.
Wow.
So, we did pretty good.
Yeah. Very cool.
You guys want to start with the Pledge of Allegiance?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Awesome. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Episode 47 had 320 downloads. That was the Ray Scott episode.
Nice.
Did you ever send him the link, Dave? Do you know if he listened to it?
I don't think I did. I'll do that.
Man, we could have 321 downloads.
Absolutely. He'll get his wife and kids to listen to it, too,
There
I'm
we
sure.
go.
So
Boom.
we might scratch 324.
Bam. We're at 16,167 total downloads. So,
It's very cool.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Watch out, Rogan.
Yeah.
Coming for you.
That's because my dad joke is so good today. Also, it's going to help with those stats.
Nice.
Just so you know.
I saw Joe Rogan popped up on my caller ID the other day. I rejected that shit. I'm a little tired today. I bought a new gun, and I went to the range last night. I couldn't get it to fire, so I had to read the troubleshooting guide.
Oh, those are classics. The gun puns are back.
Time for the dad joke challenge.
Oh, that was yours?
That's it. That's all I got.
Oh, man. Hey, have you guys heard about the rock group that don't sing?
No.
Mount Rushmore?
Okay.
Ba-da-ba. Well, I'm going to jump in before Super Dave here because he had a good one, but I think it got nixed as far as like
We had to run it by Linda, and she said no.
Sometimes we need a gut check. Well, mine's so long I have to read it off a sheet of
Oh,
paper.
man.
It actually printed onto 2 pages, but
Wow.
it's kind of a story.
That's like small print, too.
I got a kick out of it, right? So
Here we go.
once upon a time, there lived a man who had a terrible passion for baked beans. He loved them dearly, but they always had an embarrassing and somewhat explosive effect on him. One day he met a girl and fell in love. When it became apparent that they would marry, he thought to himself, "She'll never go through with the marriage with me carrying on like this." So he made the supreme sacrifice and gave up beans. Shortly afterward, they were married. A few months later, on the way home from work, his car broke down. Since they lived in the country, he called his wife and told her he would be late because he had to walk home. On his way, he passed a small cafe, and the wonderful aroma of baked beans overwhelmed him. Since he still had several miles to walk, he figured he could walk off any ill effects before he got home. So he went in, ordered, and had 3 extra large helpings of delicious baked beans. He farted all the way home. By the time he arrived home, he felt reasonably safe. His wife met him at the door and seemed somewhat excited. She exclaimed, "Darling, I have the most wonderful surprise for you for dinner tonight." I don't know if I'll be able to get through this.
It must be good, you guys.
Oh, man. She put a blindfold on him and led him to the chair to the head of the table and made him promise not to peek. This is going to be so tough to get through. Oh, my God. At this point, he was beginning to... Someone else is going to have to read it. Oh, shit. Here, Jim. You got to finish it, man. I'm right here.
At this point?
Yeah, at this point right here. I can't get through it.
Oh, man. Let me take a breath here. At this point, he was beginning to feel another one coming on. Just as his wife was about to remove the blindfold, the telephone rang. She again made him promise not to peek until she returned, and away she went to answer the phone. While she was gone, he seized the opportunity. He shifted weight to one leg and let it go. It was not only loud, but it also ripe as a rotten egg. He had a hard time breathing, so he felt his napkin and fanned the air around him.
Dave.
I've never seen him laugh this hard.
Me neither.
It's only because of the punchline.
He had just started to feel better. Let me adjust my mic here. He had just started to feel better when another urge came on. He raised his leg and rip. It sounded like a diesel engine revving and smelled worse. To keep from gagging, he tried fanning his arms a while, hoping the smell would dissipate. Then he got another urge. This was a real blue ribbon winner. The window shook, the dishes on the table rattled, and a minute later the flowers on the table fell over. While keeping an ear tuned in on the conversation in the hallway and keeping his promise of staying blindfold, he carried on like this for the next 10 minutes, farting and fanning each time with his napkin. When he heard the phone farewells, he neatly laid his napkin on his lap and folded his hands on top of it. Smiling contently, he was the picture of innocence when his wife walked in. Apologizing for taking so long, she asked if he had peeked under the table, if he had peeked at the dinner table. After assuring her he had not peeked, she removed the blindfold and yelled, "Surprise!" They're seated around the table with his great alarm with 12 dinner guests for a surprise birthday.
I just couldn't get through it, visualizing what the guy was doing.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, man.
I can't follow that.
Every time I thought of that, I just couldn't stop laughing, man.
How do you follow that? That's a good one. And he busted up when he was sitting behind me in the office, and all of a sudden he started laughing so hard. It's like, I got the joke.
I thought I'd be able to read it, no problem. Holy cow.
I didn't even know what I was going to say, and just from you laughing, I had to take a couple breaths to prepare myself.
Geez, after that one, I should tell that other one that Linda nixed because
Do it.
it was a long one. I don't think I could tell it without reading it. But anyway, do you know Little Johnny?
Yes, I do.
Well, Little Johnny went to a concert, and he sit down in the front row, and then the concert started to begin. And a friend asked, "Johnny, how did you manage to get the ticket to this concert in the front row?" Johnny replies, "I got a ticket from my sister." And the friend asks, "Well, where's your sister?" And Johnny said, "She's back home waiting or looking for her ticket."
Oh, that's funny.
That was awesome.
Good times. Glad to see everybody in a good mood this morning. New drivers. We got Joe Cool Solano and George,
Portgieter.
that guy. Yeah. Welcome to the fleet. We're excited to have you guys. I know Joe Cool, this has been about 2 years in the making. And then I met George the other day. He seems like a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Awesome. Welcome, you guys. Glad to have you.
Yeah, welcome, George and Joe.
Welcome aboard.
Celebrations, birthdays. We got Charlie Baran's birthday Friday, the 30th.
Happy birthday, Charlie.
And then family birthday celebrations. We got a lot of kids' birthdays this week. Joshua Coronado, that would be Seabass's son. Mariani Carolus would be Amber's daughter. And Nazareth Sotelo, that is Pedro's daughter. They all have birthdays. And then Mikey's wife, Melissa Peterson, has a birthday on, well, I always do this. She has a birthday on the 25th.
Gotcha. Well, happy birthday, kids. Happy birthday, Melissa, Charlie.
Yep.
Happy birthday, everybody.
And then I'd love to give an update on Big Country's house fire. He's actually found a new apartment. He's excited about that. It's got sprinkler systems everywhere. Right? That was like one of the big things he was looking for. He's on the ground level. I guess having your house burned down really makes you kind of reconsider the things that you look for.
I can't imagine.
When you're looking for a place to live, right? Congratulations to the JFW family, or thank you, I should say, for raising $1,470.
Yeah, that's good stuff right there.
That is
That
awesome.
is awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we wanted to put a deadline. Well, Linda suggested a deadline of today because she wants to get Steve the cash, right? So $1,470, and JFW is going to match that. Is that correct?
Yep, absolutely.
So he'll
Yeah,
just
you
be-
guys did great.
He'll just be shy of about $3,000. I know. I don't know what furniture he's got. I did see a bunch of pots and pans and stuff downstairs. I know people have offered furniture to him. Shout out to Omar Santa Cruz, and shout out to everybody for doing this. But Omar doesn't work here anymore, and he heard what happened on the podcast last week, and he gave me a call, and he's like, "Hey, I got a dining room table. If this Big Country guy wants to come pick it up, he's more than welcome." So I asked Big Country. He got Omar's phone number. I don't know where it went from there, but thank you, Omar, and thank you to the JFW family for helping Steve out.
Absolutely. It's so impressive to see everybody come together and help out like that.
Yeah. When we say we're family, we sure do mean it. Shout outs. Andy Conrad wanted to give a shout out to 0018 Stingray. He helped me out at Central getting the hot hose off a fitting, and he was awesome and helped him out. I guess he was struggling with this hot hose for like 45 minutes, and then he called Stingray over and they got it loose. So
good.
Thanks, Stingray. And then I got a text from Edward yesterday. He said, "Hey, Jam, I would like to give a shout out to Oswaldo for tomorrow's podcast. He's doing a great job at dispatch, and something that I really liked was that on Friday of last week, he called me as he saw that I had preloaded for Coors, asking me if I'd been there before and if I knew how to get there, and just making sure I wasn't lost with anything, and that really shows for driver support. I haven't been to most dairy farms, and I know I can go with him with questions about any future dairies that I might be sent to." So I agree, Edward. Oswaldo is doing a great job, and he's very knowledgeable. He's done the job, and he's been to most places. He was one of our go-to guys. So
absolutely.
He was a go anywhere, do anything guy. So he could absolutely help everybody out. And Oswaldo stepped into the arena when he stepped into dispatch, and
he has a great personal connection with all these guys. He's got nicknames for everybody, and he was such a quiet person, and it's kind of funny to me that he's not really that quiet.
Right? Right? You get to see the true, right?
It's those
very
sexy
cool
legs he's got going and the shorts he's wearing.
Jim, I don't know if you noticed, but I think he'll give you a run on your shoe collection.
I did notice that. I was like, man, I'm going to have to step up my game.
Yeah, you can't let him win. Yep. It's like two different people. Like, I feel like I don't feel like we got Oswaldo the driver. I feel like we got a whole he might be a serial killer. So
he's Dexter.
Split personalities. So funny.
Yeah, good job though, Oswaldo. Thank you guys, and
absolutely.
And thanks, Edward, for bringing that up.
Sure.
Good stuff.
JR wanted to give a shout out. Says good job to everyone for taking the time to clean up their cabs and have them looking good. And kudos to the Bulka crew for taking on the task. Their trucks are far more difficult to clean and keep clean because of the fine cement powder. They may or may not have had some help cleaning over the weekend by Sergio Portillo.
Right on.
So
He's doing a great job.
Yeah, I know Sergio's been on a dirt job back-to-back weekends, so you must have had some pretty long Saturdays. If he's coming back here cleaning out trucks. Out of 96 inspections, 88 trucks passed, 5 failed, and 3 were not inspected because they were at Kenworth. So
good numbers. Thanks, you guys.
Good,
That's something to be proud of. That's just taking our brand and our culture and making it better. Making it better when somebody else has to drive your truck also.
Oh, yeah. And encouraging them to keep it clean, too,
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Pretty good. I'm going to just hit this now because I don't want to forget to come back to it. But JR also wanted to put out an announcement for volunteer Bulka drivers who would want to help out. He even said please. So we could always use help in that division.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to give a quick shout out to a couple of guys that are on injured reserve right now. We got some pictures of Dustin's foot. He had surgery on his foot, had a couple of giant screws, and I don't know how many plates, but it looked to me like it was Frankenstein's foot.
He's got more metal than bones in there.
I hear you.
It looked like a tool shed, didn't it?
It did. And I'd like to just give him and Don Keller, who stopped by, I think it was Tuesday morning. So we talked about what his ongoing issues are with his back. And I just wanted to wish those two guys to get well soon. And may the force be with you.
Yeah. Any word on Dustin's recovery? Like, how long till he could use that thing?
I didn't get any. I mean, the last I heard was like 6 months.
Wow.
So I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough.
How do they even fit all that metal in one
I know
foot?
your foot is nothing but like tendons and bone and skin, and they put that inside.
I think they just go to drilling and screwing and
Yeah,
putting in places that.
They're basically mechanics. He could have just went and seen Mikey.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. That's all when I think it was Danielle when she broke her ankle, our oldest daughter, the doctor was like, we were talking about the screws, and the doctor was like, I just get out my Makita. It looks the same thing as you use at the house. She said, mine's just sterile. That's the only difference.
Right.
Get some screws out of the little jar and go to screwing the ankle together. It's no different.
It's just amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit, Jim. Shout outs here. Yesterday we were in a meeting and was talking about truck availability to me and Dave, and what the winter looked like and the future and what we were capable as JFW could do for trucks and stuff on a job that might be coming up. And one of the things that was brought up is they asked how we were doing on drivers yesterday, and we've ran into a lot of different companies, competitors, non-competitors, stuff like that everybody's struggling for drivers. And you hear that, on the news, you hear it everywhere, the driver shortage and stuff like that. And Super Dave, I know the number changes so much. Last one I heard last week was like we were +9. Dave thought he heard we were at +14. And I know that in one way that's frustrating probably for the new guys, but we've talked about that makes our PTO program robust. It helps with call outs, and all that kind of stuff. And what I'm leading to is the thank you here, or the shout out is, as we were talking to this customer, they mentioned that somebody that's helping them with hauling is not giving them all their trucks because they're short drivers. And it's a real problem for this company, and they're just not performing, and not because they don't want to, it's because they're short drivers. And they turn around and go, how are you and Dave doing on drivers? How you doing? And you don't want to act like you're bragging, but when we can, put a smile on our face and, make our tone pretty monotone, it's really nice to go, we're +9, we're +10, we're +6, we're +14, and that's a thank you to the new people that have picked us to be their future. That's the hiring team, Super Dave, Joanne, yourself, JR, but that's also has a lot to do with retention. That's our trainers, that's the other drivers, that's dispatch. That's us as a family and a team building this group of people that can work together, and we're making a place that's good to work, hopefully, and continuing that. So, mine's a broad shout out, and maybe we don't do that enough, that we're thanking everybody here that builds our culture and our brand, because in instances like that makes a huge difference when we can brag as such of quality of people we have here. And I truly don't think that there is many companies that can do that, I guess. Or I guess I can actually say I know there's not many companies that can do that, because we're involved with a lot of different companies, and they're struggling. So yeah, thank you to everybody. And I can't name them all, but I mean, it's truly everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it starts with the phone call, you know, and Super Dave keeping his foot on the gas, as you would say,
Absolutely.
Brother Dave, and JR helping him out. But then, all the pieces coming together. And, we talk about culture so much. Culture, right? But I feel like it's finally, we're reaping what we sow. We've been out the culture thing for so long, and we've stayed true to ourselves for so long, Like we've had our ups and downs. We've been minus again, in the last 4 years we've been minus, but we stay true to ourselves. We just keep our heads down and keep going, and eventually I feel like the culture's really rubbing off and building our brand, or however you want to look at it. But the really cool thing is is it 9 or 14 right now, Dave?
13.
Okay. So
Yeah.
to be
Always have to be different, huh, Dave?
Yeah, not counting our couple guys on injured reserve because they are.
not counting them, so we could be 15 really,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Right. Yeah.
to be plus 13 or 5 or 6 or whatever the number is, and when we look at the people that we've either decided to cut ties with this year or they've decided to move on and do something different,
Right.
wow. That's really impressive. And
You put that a lot, and I've been sitting here listening, not to interrupt you, Jay, my apologies, to say what you just said. I love the way you just worded that.
Great.
Right? You know what I mean? I was sitting here going, how do I keep that positive and say there were some people that deselected themselves.
Sure.
And it was the best thing that could have happened.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so I feel like as we're pulling weeds,
That's what I was going to say.
yeah, trimming the fat, pulling weeds, however you want to look at it. I mean, that's been the goal. I remember walking back into JFW, and that's been the goal. Like, let's build that number up, pull
Right.
weeds, build that number up, pull weeds, and then all of a sudden we're just having a group of amazing people.
Absolutely.
We truly do have a group of amazing people here.
Absolutely.
Plus the additions with the office personnel and the quality of people we got upstairs now, and yeah, the whole thing's just amazing. So great point, Jim.
Yeah, and I guess I want to keep harping on it is, the wash bay, the mechanics, and whether those people have deselected us or we've pulled some weeds, you guys, that's because they're going to find success elsewhere because they don't believe in the culture that we believe in. Right or wrong, it's a culture we believe in. Like-minded people, we've been using that statement more and more to build that culture. And Jam, when you said we're reaping what we sow, and I'm starting to believe that, but I also at the same time that makes me think, man, I got to push on the gas so hard that the fan trims my toenails.
You can't let off the
No,
gas,
you
right, Jim?
you
That's
can't.
what I'm saying it in a different way, but the exact same thing is that's the want to always be better.
Yeah.
Right? Everything, whether everyone realizes it or not, we've got I'm calling it a wash bay at yard 23, even though the guys are doing it outside. But Josh and what's the guy's name helping him from the wash bay, Dave?
Marco,
yes.
Yeah, Marco, yeah.
Is over there at yard 23, and they're trying to wash 2 to 4 trucks a night before it gets dark, which obviously it's getting darker sooner. But
Sure.
Oh my God, you guys, the way the trucks look, like I left there Saturday afternoon, they just finished 0088, and I'm like, I called Jim. I'm like, you cannot believe what that truck looks like.
Wow.
It hasn't looked like that since the day we bought it. It just hasn't. They've been rinsed for 2.5 years.
Right.
Josh and Marco actually washed it.
Nice.
And it looked freaking amazing. They've
awesome.
got all the brown off all the trucks on that passenger stack that they've washed. It's all removed. Yeah, it's those little details, the culture meetings that we're having with the new guys here. We had one this morning, and we brought up, this is your point. What can we do better? What are some issues you've seen? Yada yada yada. And he's like, honestly, there's some problems with the fuel system over at yard 23, and we're like, there is.
Well,
to us it was like
brand new.
right. I mean, I hear about it takes 15 minutes to fuel the truck. Well, that shouldn't be like that, right? But everybody over there was afraid to say anything. Was the rumor, and it's like, wait a minute, we can't get better or fix it unless we know about it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's a difference between saying, hey, this is broken and it needs fixed, or bitching. Right? You know what I mean? There is a huge difference. But 2 trucks should be able to fuel in less than,
It should be
3
right
to
at
5 minutes.
6 minutes. Really,
Yeah, and that's a
realistically.
full tank.
Yeah.
Every time I'm over there and I look at the meter, Jim, I have to yet see our magic number of 68 gallons.
Right.
I haven't seen it. I'm not saying it hasn't happened. The little bit I'm over there, I pay attention to that. That's our number, is 68 gallons,
So
right?
they're using less.
Using less, Dave. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's like,
so it should be faster.
Right?
Right, yeah.
Right. So and there are still some things that need fixed on the fuel system, but it has nothing to do with how fast you fuel.
No, that's not to interrupt you, Dave, there, but because we're going to joke about it, but that's the same fuel pump as over here.
Yes.
And it's called a Red Jacket,
Yes.
and it is a badass pump.
Yeah.
And
It can fuel six.
Yeah.
Let me rewind that. 6 trucks at the same time with no problem.
Yeah, at 3 minutes, at whatever it is, a gallon, I shouldn't say 3
Yeah.
minutes a gallon. All the pumps. So there's a problem
That we need to fix.
there when we've paid for the equipment
Yeah.
that's badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's a double-edged sword, right? You're not bitching because it needs to work, but we need to be better, so we need to fix it.
Right.
Well, we don't know we need to fix it unless you tell us.
Yeah, he
Right?
said I don't want it to be a complaint, and that's not a complaint; it's a problem.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And the other side of that coin, right? And I get how they're like, oh, I don't want to be bitching about that.
Right.
For Jim and I's side of the coin, that's $75,000 we just spent and it doesn't work.
Right.
That's a problem.
That's a problem.
That's a problem. We're not getting a very good return on our investment there. It
Yeah.
needs fixed.
That's
right?
funny because when he said it was pumping slow, I'm like, I wonder if they got the same $10,000 pump on that tank.
we do, Jim, and it's brand new.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
And it's the second one because the first one was broken.
Damn
Right? But you guys, when you talk about complaining, there again, that's a culture thing. And if you phrase it right, or you come to us in the right deal as, hey guys, the pump seems awful slow over here. I'm kind of surprised.
Is that normal?
Is that normal?
It took me 12 minutes to get
or are you
60
going to
gallons.
show up on our door and go, what the hell? It takes me 15 minutes to get goddamn fuel.
I ain't doing this
I
bullshit.
ain't doing that. What culture do we want here?
Right.
And maybe those are some of the weeds we've pulled because that's the culture. So again, we want to tell you guys, it's a problem. Let's work together. And I don't know, I say it a lot, and Chris Beam pops into my head because he presents problems, but he presents problems is a question.
Right.
It is never a bitch. And it usually, if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense, and he gets that. And we have so many people that way. Not to just bring Chris Beam up, but yeah, let's be better together. This is the culture that we're trying to sow.
Yep. Feels good around here.
And ironically, we have people working on the fuel system already this morning.
Nice.
Right? I mean, I was trying to send a text while the dude was here in the interview, and I'm like, I should put my phone down and pay attention.
Yeah, because at one point, I don't know if you guys know, Super Dave, I know you were here or Jam, but the last time we had problems here with our fuel pump, somehow a rag either came out of, I don't know, maybe it came from the refinery, it came in the guy's tank. Anyway, it got sucked up into our big fuel tank, and the pump picked it up and it wrapped around the interior nozzle. And all that, but nobody said nothing that the pumps were pumping slow.
Right.
And it was just an old red rag,
Yeah.
pulled around the
Yeah,
fuel
and
pump.
that's
It's amazing it got in there in the first place, and
Right,
then
you don't-
actually got
yeah.
sucked up by the pump.
yeah. Yeah, and we
Shows
really
you
need
how
to pay
strong it
attention
is.
here at this yard because the fuel system here, Dave had to reset yesterday, Jim, 3 times?
2 times.
2 times.
Yeah.
No one could get logged in.
Well, we'll try the other system over there. So yeah, just so everybody's kind of know what's going on is we are going to add Fuel Cloud to yard 23, but we're going to do a tablet style that's installed right there. That not quite sure how it'll work, but if it's successful, we'll change it here.
Yeah.
and it'll be tablet style. We're
And
all the
and
time, you
that
guys. We're
component
working.
is always logged in.
Yeah.
You're not having to connect to the system. It's in the system.
Nice.
You just go up and enter your,
Same information.
name, rank, and
Truck
serial
number.
number, put in
Yeah.
your mileage, and off you go.
Do they call that the kiosk or?
Still
They do describe it as a kiosk.
Got
You,
it.
you know,
It's
and the
just
reason we shied away
tablet
from
ran.
it here is you can be 3 trucks away and have to walk to the center. They explained it that the phones would be faster.
Right.
They explained it that, hey, as the guy is second truck in line, he can be logged in.
Nah.
When he gets to the pump, he just hits the pump number, enter and you're in, and it's it's not working that way.
So
So
lie detector tests have determined that that's a lie.
right, yeah. So and we're still working on that. It's an ongoing repair.
Right.
And those are the things we do talk about. Also, hey, there's a problem with it. We're still working on it. We're not just ignoring it, but it's going to take time to get figured out. People don't know what the problem is.
Yeah, and they don't know what they don't hear about.
Right.
I guess we can continue because that's still talking about our culture.
Yep.
And our culture here is, cleaning out, brushing off, not pulling off mud flaps, not running, not holding the button on the tarp, making sure you're level when you're dumping, bumping your tires, sweeping out. We've talked about that. Me and Dave followed a truck in yesterday off of 56th, turned on Newport here and came in the yard. And you could actually, I wouldn't be afraid. The 10-second rule, I wouldn't be afraid to drop food on the back of that trailer and eat it right back off the back of that trailer. It was so clean.
Nice.
In fact, I would go at least 20 or 30 seconds. Wouldn't bother me one bit.
And I could rest my food on there.
Yeah,
You didn't need to drop it on it. You could just be like, hey, hold this for a second and just set it there.
Right, and
Yeah.
read it. It was that clean. And
Yes.
I would just lick his tailgate.
You can take that a lot of different ways, Jim.
we might have to take that out, Jim.
You heard it here first, folks.
Don't get excited, Jesse.
Oh man, yeah. So those are the things we run into, Jam. That just it was like the conversation of being short drivers, and you see a trailer like that, and then like you read about the 88 trucks all passing inspection, and you may not see the results right now. That's the thing that I find as long as I've worked here, as you age or whatever, that truly some great things just take a long time, and if you keep that truck clean, you may have to keep it clean for 5 years or 4 years or whatever it takes to trade it in or trade it off. But what a payoff when we go to trade it in.
Oh, yeah.
But it was a long time in the process of keeping it clean.
Oh, man, Jim, in a couple of these trade trucks we've had come through, we had one that literally we peeled the vinyl off of, had it waxed, and it went to trade.
Yeah.
It was amazing, inside out. We had another one that went at the same time, and it was like, oh, my God, this is broken, that's broken. The dash is messed up, the interior's ruined, the seat's ripped, the suspension's broke. You know what I mean? It was like, oh my, this thing is a turd. I can't believe it. And they were all just, I hate to say it, but that's who's behind that wheel.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's what's acceptable, or what their level of acceptable is.
That's their culture.
Right.
And it's difficult to get their culture to be our culture.
Yeah, to blend.
We can talk about dumping, and we've been running that dirt job a little bit, and we talked about it on last podcast about picking out that flat spot before you even, back up or as you're turning or different stuff like that. And I know Brother Dave was over there, and again, I want to bring this back to culture because the culture is what we expect. It's a level. I know I say it all the time. Jam, you joked with me of like putting the shopping cart back. Is we had a truck dump salt over there. We've got the pad built. We're at yard 23. We ended up having to start stocking it with salt yesterday, and one of the trucks dumped, and it had a ring of sand up in the nose of it. And, it may not have been a bucket worth of sand. I don't know. Or, it didn't fall out, or it may not have even affected the load, okay? None of us know that. But what we do know is there was sand in the trailer on a salt load.
Right.
And you show up at a customer's site, and they see that. And the last time I priced it, I thought salt was like $110 a ton. So you're basically got $2,500 or more of salt on, right? And you didn't take time to sweep it out. And I know we complain, and I know we it seems like we're bitching, but here's our culture, here's our standard, Here's what our customers expect. Here's what your peers expect. Here's what your supervisors expect.
Yeah.
It's not a little thing. And that's a huge thing. It's, from the old movie, I don't know how long it is, Pure Country or whatever, the little speck of white on top of the chicken shit. You know what? That's still chicken shit.
Right.
And that's what that is of not doing that. It's just chicken shit.
Yeah, those problems really bother me because just raising a kid, you go through those things with children. You know what I mean? Like, well, why didn't you do that? Or why did you do it this way? I mean, basically because they thought they would get away with it. You know what I mean? Like my daughter, so we got out of jiu-jitsu last Friday. It was the first fight night. So I'm like, you know what, Bella, you did a really good job this week. Work hard, play hard. Took her to Dairy Queen, right? Well, she didn't finish her Dairy Queen. She put it in the fridge. We are kind of pretty strict with the sugar, all the time. You can't just have sugar all the time, every day, all day, and every night. So Bella, I love you, honey, she snuck the rest of the Dairy Queen when she shouldn't, but then put the empty cup and the spoon back in the fridge. Right? So it's like, honey, why did you do that? Because I didn't want to get caught. She's an honest kid. She's learned.
Absolutely.
She's learned, you know what, I'm going to tell you the truth. Just like our drivers, when we catch them, hey, why didn't you sweep out? Hopefully they're going to tell you the truth. I didn't feel like it. I mean, that's what it boils down to. I didn't care.
Right.
I didn't care enough to do the job the right way. So when I hear this coming from adult people, it just really bugs me. It's like, we have the term the Jfw way here. We do things the Jfw way. And all that means is we do it the right way, and we do our jobs the way we've been hired to do the jobs. We talk about the skill problems and the will problems. If a guy didn't know how to sweep out and needed to be retrained on that and said, I didn't do it because I didn't understand how to do it, okay, well, let's go over that again. But when you don't do it because you don't care, or you're too lazy, or
In too much of a hurry.
Or just too good, or just whatever it is, that just really irks me.
My favorite one, Jab, is I thought it would be all right.
Really? Is that what we told you during training? Well, this might be okay to leave it like that, or did we teach you to sweep out?
Yeah, and I mean, all of those words kind of hurt when you hear them because they're the truth. You know what I mean? The saying the truth hurts, right? I mean, those are hard to hear. I mean, I was the one over there that had the driver back up and dump, and yeah, it was close to, several gallons. I'll describe it as a 5-gallon bucket. There was, half of a 5-gallon bucket of sand around the doghouse. And it had spread from side to side where it had dried, right? So it was from wall to wall. So then there was the layer of sand. Then there was a layer of salt that he had to go sweep out. But when I stopped him, when the trailer was in the air, because I'm like, oh my God, I'm glad we're not delivering to a customer. I stopped him, had him come out, point at it, and I'm like, hey, did you know there was sand in there? Is this acceptable to you? And he goes, no. And I'm like, did you clean out? I thought it was clean, was the response, right? Well, if you didn't look, right, you just assume, and we all know when you write out assume, you make an ass out of you and me. Right. That's how you break the word apart, right? I mean, I know this is a podcast, but you need to visualize the word assume, A-S-S-U-M-E, put a line between both sides of the U, and you make an ass out of me, right? So he assumed it was clean, right? Thought it was clean, assumed. But I asked him point blank. I said, and I name dropped you, Jam, because I said, Jam loves to say this. Is this a skill problem or is this a will problem? Because I said, skill, we've taught you to clean out. You know to clean out. You have a broom to clean out. You have a shovel to clean out. You just need to clean out. Right. And he goes, it's a will problem. I'm like, all right, go pull up over there by, gave him the area to clean out. And the funny part was it took him like 15 minutes to clean out, and it was like 5 minutes worth of work, where it was so overly clean then, we just needed the sand out. We're hauling salt. You know what I mean? I'm glad he cleaned it that well, right? But I mean, we just needed the sand out. That was all we needed.
He got the salt out for the next salt load?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. But, I mean, of course, there was no way to separate it, Jam. Right. I mean, what was in there was coming out, right? So, yeah, It's disappointing, you guys. We know when we go to haul salt, we need to stop and hop in that trailer, sweep it out. And it doesn't take 15 minutes. It doesn't take 30 minutes. It's seriously a 5-minute gig. I mean, you should have done that knowing you were going to go get the load of salt at your last location, and you sweep it out, and there's just not a problem. And when you're done with salt, you need to really be sure there's no salt left in there when you go back to haul sand or rock. I don't know whether anybody knows that. What salt does to fresh concrete, it destroys it. It's designed to destroy it. So, whether anybody knows it, I don't know how many years ago it was, but there was one of our competitors that was delivering salt, hauling it here local. And they also had the concrete rail tie contract. I don't even think the place is there anymore, Jim. Was that called Rockla?
Yeah, Rockla, yeah.
Right here off of 38th and Fox, basically, or the north side of 70.
Pecos there. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah, like 40th and Pecos, something like that, right? Anyway, yeah, I mean, they had to replace you guys like, I'm making it up, like 10,000 concrete rail ties?
Yeah.
Because they had salt in them and destroyed them. I mean, could you imagine if this went in a high-rise pour downtown in an apartment or a bridge deck or something like that? What we do matters, and how we do it is extremely critical. And, it's not just a load of sand and it's not just a load of salt. It all matters. And like Jim mentioned, that salt's probably more than $110 a ton.
Yeah,
but you're right. Last time we checked, it was $110 a ton. So there's a $2,500 load, right? Plus pushing $3,000 by the time you put tax on it, and a load of sand is still $20 a ton. It used to be a couple bucks a ton. Sand and rock they're incredible costs now. So they're $250, $300 a load. Maybe that's something they need to buy.
Right. Comes down to give you your very best, too. Super Dave, you always talk about your very best, and we got to give our very best all the time. It gets hard sometimes, but that's what separates us from everybody else. That's why we're plus 14 drivers. That's why we have work during the cement shortage. It all intertwines with each other.
Right.
It starts with us, for sure.
Yeah, and again, I listening even to my comments and your guys' comments, we've had feedback on the podcast. Keep it more positive, and I'm thinking, we just thanked everybody. We gave shout outs, and it feels like we're complaining.
I don't feel that way.
But if we don't, even if you don't feel that way, Jim, if we don't talk about this stuff and continually harp them on it, or bitch about it, if that's the word we want to use, how do we know? How do we keep being better?
Right.
If we tell you everything is okay, do you change anything?
Yeah.
Nope.
I know, Jim, when you and I show up, or myself or whatever, because I've been at Brandon quite a bit more than you have been, just because of the IPOC stuff at their facilities, or where we have our weekly meetings. So I'm in there constantly, and I tell you what, when I drive in there, I want to shine. I want my pickup clean. Right. I want to park correctly. I don't want to be a jerk. I don't want to look like an ass. You know what I mean? I want to go in there and be the best, have the best appearance or showing there can be. So when I drop that back to one of our drivers showing up to deliver salt to our own facility, and the owner's standing there, and I dump a load of salt and there's sand in my trailer, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
I just don't want to be that guy. You know what I mean? So
yeah, exactly, Dave. And that's where, we've talked about it in podcasts before. I bring it up, as me and you always being the boss's kid, there was always that edge that we couldn't let anybody else see us mess up.
Yeah.
There was always that in our back of our mind. That's not who we wanted to be. And that leads us to our company. The people that are here they want to be their very best too. And that's what we want to thank everybody for, and continue to be better and make it better.
And the only way to do that is to talk about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, but first of all, I've been on this podcast where I felt like we're complaining, and I don't feel that way today. I feel like we're just trying to continue to build something great, right?
Yeah, why are we talking about it? I mean, here's the question, right? Because if that load would have went to a customer, we may have had a failure.
Right.
Right? I mean, that's ultimately the reason why. It may not have been much sand, but it was enough that a customer could have called and complained.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not the way we trained. It's not the way we do it. It's not how we handle things, and it shouldn't be done like that.
Right.
End of story.
But what I like, I guess this is where I was trying to go. So this week we've had a lot of weird stuff go on with our employees. When I say weird, I mean family problems, emergencies. Hey, I know this is short notice, but I need off in the morning. Or, hey, this is going on, and hey, this is going on, and you guys know me. Sometimes I like things to be pretty black and white. Like, well, our policy states 7 days notice. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I wish it was just that easy, but it's never that easy. And the other day I started kind of going in direction with one of the drivers. Like, he needed this, and I was just like, man, I've caved in 5 times this week already. Like, we need to steer him back into our path. And then I was just sitting there, and I took a moment to myself, and I thought about the way I get treated here. Like, what if I had a family emergency? What if, my dog was sick, or my wife needed something, or my kid had this, or, how would you guys treat me? And then I just started thinking about JFW and how we're different than, like, my wife works for a company, they sell solar, and I mean, everything is super black and white. Like, I mean, she had a surgery. She was ready to go back to work, and they wouldn't let her because their doctor's note said a certain date on it. I'm like, man, if I told Jim and Dave I'm ready to come back, I'd be working. You know what I mean? Like, imagine a driver.
You can't come back early?
Yeah, like it just blew me away.
Why is your recovery taking so long?
Right, it just blew me away. Like she was even working, and they told her to stop. Like, that's how serious it was.
Wow.
Yeah, so. I just think about the difference. So yeah, we want to stand out and be different, and we want to do things the JFW way, but we also treat you differently. We also want to treat you like family. So I think it's a give and take.
Yeah, Jem, and you're right. And my point to that was the same thing we talk about all the time too, is I don't want somebody to get off on the deal where we went through the gate 5,000 times. Mm-hmm. And we're complaining about the one guy that hit the gate and not congratulating the 4,999 times we went through that. And that's where I want nobody to go down that track, that's where we're at.
I got to throw this in, jumping in here. Excuse me. Sometimes it's hard to get a word in edgewise, but
these mics are live, Dave. I don't mind interrupting you.
Yep.
It's about where you want to set your bar.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. You can set your bar low and achieve that every day.
Right.
But you can also set it very, very high and work very hard to reach that. And you don't reach it every single time, but you're still achieving more than setting the bar low and achieving it there. So it's like if you go out and you buy a new car, okay? That's raising your bar. All of a sudden you have this beautiful new car, low miles, brand new tires, shiny paint, clean interior. You're pretty proud of that, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
So that just raised your bar, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So if we all work to raise our bar every day, it's a source of pride, it's a source of accomplishment, it's a source of getting better and being better every day.
Yep.
It's just like cleaning your trailer out. That's setting your bar high. It's about cleaning up your cab. That's setting your bar high. It's picking up your laundry in your room or cleaning up the dishes in the kitchen. It's setting up your bar to improve and to be higher.
Absolutely. I like that, Dave. And you know what? You got plenty of people around here to help you achieve that. There's days where you may come in and you may just not be feeling it. You know what I mean? Like, your very best that day may not have been like your very best on Monday.
Yep.
We
all have those days too.
But you look around, like, you guys talk about keeping your foot on the gas. Well, sometimes, like, I feel my foot coming off a little bit, and then I look around the room and I'm like, better get my foot back on the gas, right? Same thing. I mean, find yourself, you could use the word mentor here. Find yourself a group of drivers that you're like-minded with. Hopefully you guys are like-minded in a right way, or if you're struggling, find somebody you could look up to here and, call that person. Hey, man, I'm just struggling today, man, and hopefully they lift you up and help you along.
Yeah, so listening to you, Super Dave, and what we've just been talking about, so we just explained to everybody where our bar's at.
Yep.
That's what we gave you. This is our bar.
I like
you
it.
know, and Jam, what you're talking about, I just watched a little TikTok or Instagram or whatever, but it was a Navy SEAL talking about the training and talking about going through Hell Week.
Oh, yeah.
And he was going through Hell Week, and that's 5 days, and I may have it wrong, but from what I understand, that's 5 days with no sleep. And one of the guys they were going through in his group, and I guess this Hell Week, you also have a boat. There's 5 people to the boat, and the one guy had some experience on this, why he was doing it again, or maybe he's trying to pass. But anyway, so he said, listen, he said, this is going to be the worst week, and he said, or the next 5 days, and he said, if I'm down, I'm going to tell you I'm down, because maybe one of you guys are up and can help me.
I love
and he
that.
said, if I'm up, I'm going to tell you because you might be down and, work the other way. And the one guy said, so I looked at him and he said, I said, so none of you guys see that carrier out there, right? And they all looked at him. He goes, so you don't see that carrier with the pink dragon on top of it?
Wow.
And they all looked at him and he goes, well, I'll let you know I'm high right now and we're all good. So anybody need any help? And that was his story. He was so delirious. He was high and was seeing that. And I enjoyed that, like you just said, Jim, if you're down and not feel it, say something.
Right.
Let's drag each other to the top.
Yep. I like that. Speaking of down or up,
Dragging each other down or dragging each other up, right?
we could just talk about our axle weights being up. Did you guys want to move on a little bit, or?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
let's. I mean, you're.
So talking about a culture in the JFW way. Yesterday we had 2 unfortunate incidents. One was we were 1,800 pounds over axle, and the other one was
On a secondary road. I just want to clarify that.
Yeah,
But under gross.
Under gross.
Yeah, yeah.
Under gross, 1,800 over on the trailer, right? And then the second incident was avoiding the scale, and they both happened, I believe, at the same place on coming down the canyon, right where you hit 93 before you get on 58, crossing over Highway 6 there. They set the scales up on the east side of 93. When you come down the canyon, you are forced to go straight to the scale. Is that right, Super Dave? Am I saying that right?
Because the sign is before the stoplight.
The sign's before the stoplight. You cannot make a left-hand turn there. Let's say you were going to Plant 14 or going up north for some reason. You can't make a left on 93 if the scale's set up on Highway 58, right? Is that 58 there?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was one incident, and the driver got a ticket for avoiding the port, right? The first incident was the over axle, and I think that was the first truck coming down the canyon. He was loading 1.5-inch rock, but I mean those are what led up to the incident. But we're better than that. We're better than both of those incidents.
But yeah, tough situations. You again, we talk about our bar. We're talking about our culture. It is easy to load out of the bins and just load heavy to the trailer on the trailer axle.
Oh yeah,
that's the easy way to do it.
Right.
But to be better, try to load because you don't have to go weigh it. You don't have a chance to axle out. You don't have any of that. But it's going to be easier on your truck. It's going to be easier. I don't know about dumping, but easier on the truck, easier on the tires, easier on you. The way the truck handles. If you try to spread that load equally across the trailer, the inside of the trailer. Then if this does happen because you're a person that's hauling under gross, you might be axle legal. So it's a win-win, but that's taking an art or making it an art and how to load your truck. The other one where they put the signs up and you make a left when you were told to make a right, that's the police or the scales or whatever being sneaky,
Right.
And I want to say that, being sneaky, trying to catch whether you're doing your job.
Right.
And I have to. I don't want to make light of the situation, but I have to admit, if I'm coming up 93 there and I'm wanting to make a left-hand turn and I know I'm not going right, I want to go up the canyon. I'm looking at the turn lane. I'm looking at the cars in the turn lane. I'm looking at the light. I'm looking at the signal. It could be maybe it's green when you're pulling up there and go, oh, yeah, I can make it through. You're getting prepared. Am I looking to the right to find the small signs that's saying scale to make me make a right when I'm in the left-hand turn and have to go all the way across? That's sneaky. But as a driver, you need to be paying attention and prepared for everything.
Absolutely. And also the driver got the overaxle. He is a slip seat driver, but we do have load gauges, and if you are in your truck every day and you have your load gauges calibrated, you would have known to go over the top in that case.
Yeah, and
if you knew the scales were there.
I jump on the load gauge bandwagon. Everybody knows me for the load gauge. I mean, those load gauges just rock. They're phenomenal, and they are within 100 pounds. I mean, we have yet run into anything where it's like, no way, I calibrated it and it's 5,000 pounds off. BS. It's in. And we talk about the calibration thing just comes because we've created that to eliminate the argument. The bulk of people don't know how to calibrate them, and you hold both buttons. There's only 2 buttons on there. It's super easy to figure out, man. Know what your weight is because you just scaled out. Hold both buttons. The system flashes. One button raises it, one button lowers it to whatever the number needs to be. Get it to the number that it is, and don't do anything, and it's set. Right? It stops flashing and shows your weight. You've just calibrated the gauges. And you did it just as fast as I just explained it, other than you need to know what that weight is. Well, 25 trucks park at a yard with a scale now, right? That's digital. You just need to move a cone and drive across, and you can calibrate your trucks and trailers, right? So 25 trucks plain out don't have an excuse. The other 70-plus trucks are 5 minutes from that yard, so there should be no excuse. Every single truck hauls loads every day out of a pit. You can get your axle weights to calibrate those gauges. Right. But that's just my gauge rant, right? You know what I mean? Because that's our bar. We've given you the tools, just like the skill problem or the will problem, right? We've given you the skill. Now it's a will problem, whether you want to use that or not. But that's something when you look at, he was only 1,800 pounds over. I guess I want to emphasize that's on a secondary road. So he was 41.8 on the trailer, but he was under gross. So he's under 80,000. That only leaves a 28,000 pound buffer on the whole rest of the truck. I'm sorry, 38,000. You take 10,000 off of that, so he only had 28,000 pounds on his drives because 10,000 should have been on the steer. So, I mean, That's something as you're loading through the bin, and I know that's a fast process. You're loaded in seconds up there.
Comes out at about a ton a second.
There you go, Dave. So it's easy to get excited up there and the adrenaline rush and pull forward too far, too fast. But if you just create a little bit of knowledge in yourself, give yourself some assurance, give yourself, and Chris B might be a guy we should have on and discuss this or talk about it. I'm making this up, so don't anybody take this, but give yourself a 10-second count before you move or something to that effect, because that's the beginning of the pile. Right. Then you create the pile down the rest of the trailer. Now, we've had guys up there overload the front of the trailer and actually come up over the tarp and it's spilling over the sides, or you know what I mean? We've had many, many issues, but learn your craft.
Practice makes perfect up there.
Absolutely, Dave. So, you may need to haul 50 loads out of there before you have it dialed in, but if you don't pay attention and practice, you'll always be over on that tail. You will always be over. Now, there's a difference to me being over on an interstate. If you're pushing the 36,000, that's different.
So, yeah, I just started thinking of this. Help me, walk me through this. So I know our overweight permits are not good in the canyon.
Right.
Can we haul 85,000 in the canyon?
Yes.
Okay. What's the axle limits in the canyon?
40,000.
40,000.
So he was 41,800? Mm-hmm. That's what I need to look at. Okay.
Yeah.
But still, he had nothing in the nose.
Right.
And I personally have screwed up on the bin, and I think, wow, this is a really bad load. Sure hope there's no scales in the canyon.
Right.
But he got bit.
Yeah, and in your defense, Dave, I got to jump in there, man. You didn't have the gauges we have.
No.
Not even close, buddy.
No.
Those gauges are, to me, a blinding reminder as you're driving down the road, if you're remotely engaged, of looking at and going, wow, I just keep winding up being 40,000 pounds on my trailer, or I'm 45,000 pounds on my trailer. I got to do better. I mean, you guys, that trailer itself only weighs 9,000 pounds, right?
It's an amazing feat of engineering.
Right. So there's 4,500 pounds on your drives and 4,500 pounds on your trailer. Take 4,500 off of that 41,000 weight. There was almost 20 tons on the trailer axles, right? And it was a legal load, so there's only like 6 more tons in the nose or in the rest of the trailer. So those are just the things, if we don't talk about it, how are you going to learn that? Right?
Yeah, I had a question for you, Dave, because I always calibrated the little bit I have. I calibrate them loaded, and I know that's the best way. Can you calibrate them empty and they be accurate enough? Like at 23 there, how many times would most guys come in empty?
Sure.
I mean,
sure.
can you what's the trailer read? 1,000 pounds, 1,500 pounds on the back? I mean, can you do it that way?
We've all talked about it, that it's just definitely more accurate to do loaded.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
No one's ever proven that, hey, I did this empty and I'm X off. You know what I mean? No one's ever done that. So I'm doing the assume here, right? I'm making an ass out of me and you, but my assumption is you should be able to do it empty as well. You would hope if it reads the pressure empty, it would read the correct amount loaded.
Same thing, right? Same pressure.
But again, that was my point. Every truck is going across the scale loaded right now.
Well,
as we speak, they're going across the scale right now.
Yeah, I mean, I loved you bringing up yard 23 there, and then, I mean, it was just making me think of the dirt job over there that we're running on Saturday.
Right.
I know we're trying to knock it out and get some loads in there, but take your last load and weigh it.
Right.
Make your gauges work. Saturday. Why you got time? You got lots of teachers around. You got a lot of time around.
Absolutely.
Take care of that.
Yeah.
What a perfect time. What else we got on there, Jam?
I just wanted to give everybody an update on Paycom. As you know, last week we started punching in and out on Paycom. This week, all time off requests have been put in through Paycom. The Paycom schedule still needs to be updated, and they're working behind the scenes to do that. But we are making progress. This week's payroll will be processed through Paycom, so we are making leaps and bounds. It's definitely a learning curve. I was joking with Ann and Joanne and the girls up here. Bamboo, to run Bamboo is like Facebook. Right? For the administrators here, to run Paycom, it's more like, a pivot table on an Excel spreadsheet.
Joanne's feeling the pressure this week.
Yeah, it's more complicated, but I think with the effort and the hard work now, it'll make everything much easier in the future. So
right, that's the goal.
Yeah, but
it'll be better in the long run.
It will be better in the long run.
You're controlling your own destiny.
Yes, you are controlling your own destiny. I know it's a little frustrating for some of the drivers right now. They can't see what they want to see, where they thought they would see it, and stuff like that. You just got to learn the app. Yesterday, I mean, I've been racking my brains a little bit, Tuesday or Monday night going into yesterday morning and doing all this work, and it's just like tedious, and then all of a sudden I hit like one screen and I'm like, like there's something I've been looking for. Or yeah, you just got to learn the system. Everything's right there. It's just going to take a little time to learn how to use it. But on the employee side, the employee self-service on your phone, the phone is simple to use. Anytime I go and look at that, it's like everything is right at your fingertips. So
yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely. Here we're gonna want to talk a little bit. Dave's pretty passionate about it. I don't know if he can. It's not going to make him laugh like his dad joke. But anyway, we did have the Adams County vote yesterday with the commissioners, and what that vote was, and what IPOC and what we've been talking about, and all this time is it's a comprehensive plan, is what Adams County calls it, and it's their vision for Adams County over the next 10 years, and their vision really put some constraints on industry, and I'm simplifying it, and that's what we've been fighting for. It also made some changes to how our zoning was, which we've stated, but yesterday was the official vote with the county, and they ratified the vote, or they ratified their plan, so they voted yes, which is a loss for the business people here in Adams County. But we just want to let everybody know that, we'll continue to fight, and their plan has some pluses to it, but we will navigate those waters, and they have their vision, and we have our vision, and that's what happens in the world, is people have visions, and they don't coincide with each other, but you do your best and move on, and that's what we'll continue to do. Whether we believe it's right or wrong, we'll make the best of it and struggle through it, I guess. So it was a blow. It felt hurtful. It depresses you, and we have some ideas as businessmen, and JFW will be part of it to make some changes, because that's what we feel is right.
Yeah, their comprehensive plan is it's not required, but they try and update it every decade, and it's a vision for what their county is going to look like. That's what they want it to look like, and it's almost every city and county does this every 10 years, right? It's no different than Jim and I sitting down and going, hey, this is what we want JFW to look like in 10 more years or whatnot. It's a business plan, right?
So they want it to look like those architects' drawings that we see with the glass and beautiful buildings and all the nice people walking around with the trees painted. Everybody's seen those pictures,
Well, Dave, I can tell you in their picture there was no concrete plant or asphalt plant.
Absolutely.
Or a pile.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Or a trucking company.
Yeah.
So,
or a junkyard.
I don't know where they think their utilities are repaired from, or how they're created, or where they come from. I don't think the commissioners on the board know where their water goes when they flush their toilet. I don't think they know how that pipe got from the bottom of their house to the street to the water treatment plant that they voted in. And, during COVID, when they were hibernating, and we made sure when there was a water line break, it was repaired, materials were brought in, the pipe was fixed, things were put back in the ground, and asphalt was replaced in their road. I don't think they understand where that comes from, right? I truly don't. When we've had some of these people out to do a tour, I was at a tour at Brandon when they brought some people in to show them, and they were mind blown that you need that much oil to create asphalt, or that much rock. What it takes to pave a road, right? They've driven on highways since they were born, but they have no idea what that takes to create. So, we can go a lot of different ways. Jim's trying to help pull me up, as he described earlier. He's dragging me to the top, because I'm telling you what, you guys, I'm below the gutter. I'm under the road. I'm as low as you can get on the low road.
You're below the low road?
I am below the low. I'm in a freaking tunnel today.
He just farted and took the blindfold off.
Yeah.
Seeing all the people sitting at the table.
I think the reason I laughed so hard at that is for the last 24 hours, because we got this news almost 24 hours ago. We sat there, we were there for what, Jim?
3 hours.
4 hours yesterday. Yeah, I mean, we missed another appointment with the railroad because I thought we'd be done in the morning, and shit, we were there till 1, right? So anyway, I'm going to go all political again. Those people that are running the county have no idea. The one commissioner actually told us, and y'all can pull it up because it's on YouTube. If anybody wants to watch it, just go to YouTube, or I can mail you a link, because we had Erica provide us with a link from Paradigm that records all of our stuff. But if you go to YouTube, just type in Adams County Commissioners Meeting. It comes right up. Pick yesterday's date. Go to 2 hours and 37 minutes. And yes, that's how long we were there just for our portion. And then just enjoy what the one commissioner had to say. Everything she said about us was a lie. She said we never communicated. You guys have heard me talk about IPOC for a year and a half now on this. Well, the people that pre-podcast knew about IPOC, right? She said Adams County is family friendly. Never said it was business friendly, right? Those 5 commissioners do not want industry here. She said, I hear your business is welcome in Douglas County, or is it? Maybe not, right? Why aren't your businesses wanted there. Imagine that. And you guys, that just, it's disheartening. We've talked all morning about being better. We've talked about our creed. We've talked about, how do we raise the bar at JFW? Well, these are the reasons we raise the bar, right? You have 5 commissioners that don't want industry. And why don't they want industry? Because it's dirty, or because it does a sloppy job. Or, they may look at a trucking company and go, oh, all your drivers cut people off, right? We get nothing but complaints about the gravel trucks on Highway 85. We want rid of that industry. It's not good. It's not good for us. Whatever the case may be, these are the reasons JFW wants things better, right? We want to be the better company. We want to have, when we say the cleaner truck, not only cleaner looking because we've kept it washed, we want it cleaner pollution-wise, right? We want the newest technology, right? We want all of those things. We run single tires because we want better fuel economy. Well, we get that from our trailers that have all the single wheels on them. That's less rolling resistance because there's only 2 sidewalls rolling at each wheel position instead of 4 rolling at each wheel position. That's better fuel mileage. Well, that's greener. That's saves JFW money. That's it all compounds into one big picture. And I guess if you just look at your piece of the pie, you're not looking at the whole pie. So it's bigger than we are. I'm still not happy about their decision to ratify it. And just to clarify the definition of ratify so everyone understands, that's to sign or give formal consent. A treaty or contract agreement, making it officially valid. Right? They just approved it.
Yeah.
I don't even know why the word ratify was created. They approved it, right? Yeah. So with that said, the only way to make change or to get people in there is to try and get behind other people. We have Joe Domenico running for that one of those positions. We have Sean Forrest running for one of those positions because we need like-minded people in there that understand Adams County needs industry, right? They're talking about this massive project. They're talking about adding 2 more runways at DIA. Right now, that's in the works, right? Wow. We've just brought in Spaceport out there. They're talking about what's the big hotel out there? And Gaylord, yeah. Thank you, Jam.
Adding another tower.
I didn't even know that existed.
Really? Yes.
They only built half of it.
It already
Dave.
has 1,500 rooms.
Yeah,
that's half.
Yeah, they want another tower.
Wow.
They want it doubles it. They build the other tower like it's the Twin Towers.
Yeah, and I don't want to take away from you what you're saying, Dave, but when they gave the stats on DIA, I know they're building 2 more runways. But what was it? They have 15 and are slated for 35 or some ridiculous. It was a ridiculous number.
Yeah.
It was like, seriously, out there? I mean, that's what they expected by 2045 or something like that? I mean, it was, so picture 2 more runways and all these runways, and I'll let Dave finish his thought here because of what they did.
Yeah, and I mean, just to give a little more information on DIA, DIA was there yesterday, the spokesperson for DIA. And the reason she was there is they adamantly are opposing the new comp plan for Adams County, just like we are. They're opposing it for different reasons. And their reasoning is when they sat down and went through the comp plan, guess what shouldn't be near an airport? What shouldn't be near an airport? Houses.
But there's a million of them.
Right, but Dave, they have them all. Adams County has them all slotted to be built at their runways. Didn't they learn from Stapleton?
In this plan, when they remapped it to change the zoning, they okayed single family homes.
Multifamily use is the exact designation.
Multifamily use, at the ends of the runways. And that's where
they build homes close to. I know my daughter and her husband live right out near DIA.
Yeah.
And you can see the planes coming and going with.
But I guess here's my point, you guys. Those are the commissioners we voted in, and they've approved, hey, let's build houses near the airport. That's the type of thought pattern they have. They think this is okay. They think not allowing industry in Commerce City or in Adams County, they think that's okay to do away with. Where is that mindset? Is that common? Is that normal? After all of the commissioners, well, all but the last commissioner spoke, when she finally spoke, she didn't talk anything about industry. All she started with, and by the way, she's the only one that sat there with a mask on through the whole entire meeting. That's just a side note from me.
Those people.
How dare them? All she stated was, and this is how she started, all I want is clean water. All I want is clean water.
Cool.
I want clean water for Adams County. Apparently, we make dirty water. I don't know. Or water dirty. I don't know. I don't know where that statement comes from. I don't know. Don't we all want clean water? I mean, is that a problem? Have we been getting dirty water?
Cities are responsible for water, not counties.
Right. Either way, Adams County has a huge portion that's unincorporated, Dave. That's been the fight all along. So they do provide, maybe they buy it from cities. I mean, I agree with you, right? But Adams County does have a huge unincorporated portion, so I'm sure at some point they provide. I mean, they have South Adams County water sanitation, so they must do a pretty good sized portion. But anyway, those are the things that are just so far removed. We all want clean water, right? We all want clean air, but we all need things as well, right? I mean, there's got to be some give and take. So yeah, I have to try and pick my chin up and move on, because we didn't expect to go in there and win yesterday, but we certainly didn't expect to go in there and be slandered by one of the commissioners in a rant. And it was pretty much a finger point at I took it personally because I'm the chair of IPOC, so I'm the one that presented most of the stuff, and how she stated, how our group chose to be represented, and just, some other things that were just absolutely wrong. They were incorrect. She has false information and she believes it. So anyway, that's where we're at. We'll move on, and our focus now will be to get like-minded people in office, whether you guys and gals want to believe that. And, we've talked about this being too political or whatnot. And those are the facts. I mean, they truly are the facts.
Yeah. When we talk about that too political or not, just for everybody out there, and hopefully Dave knows exactly what I'm talking about this morning. On the drive in, Dave asked me for one thing this morning. He said, it would be so nice. Have you ever thought about it? And I said, no, what's that, Dave? What would you like? And Dave, can you tell me what you asked for this morning?
I just want to have a business that's wanted.
Right? Right? You want a business that's wanted. So as we talk about all this stuff, and Dave wants a business that's wanted. Okay? So that's the reason we talk about sweeping the tailgates off, not following too close, not throwing cigarette butts out the window, letting somebody on the off ramp, not speeding and cutting in and out of traffic, making sure you're tarped, making sure the trucks look clean, making sure you're respectable when you go in and out of the job sites, because we're trying to create a company that is wanted by everybody, whether it's the young, whether it's Jam's daughter at an elementary school that goes by and goes, that's a neat truck, or an older person somewhere going, I've seen those trucks for years and they're badass, because they're wanted. And how can that not be a goal of everybody, no matter who you are, to be wanted? Right?
Everybody wants to be wanted.
Right? It's simple as that. And it could be for the simplest thing. And ours is to have a company that's wanted. And that means we want the people that are in this company to be wanted also.
Absolutely. Well said. Moving on to the safety topic of the week. Since we are going to continue doing the Yard 23 dirt job, we're just finding out new things every week, and things were quite different out there this past weekend and weekend before, and I'm sure that'll keep evolving, and we'll discover new ways to do things. The one thing that did happen, no big deal, but we had a truck that was loaded heavy on the passenger side, and when you guys are at the load point, they're loading you with an excavator. And sometimes the guy's doing it blind, from what I understand. He can't really see inside your trailer. So that being said, this driver got loaded on the passenger side. me and him put our heads together and we're like, oh, we'll just back you onto this pile on your passenger side. That'll level you out. And he started putting his trailer up in the air. I'd say it was good for 3 stages. Started leaning a little bit. Super Dave, you noticed that from there he started rolling his trailer off the pile. So that kind of defeated the purpose of being on the pile in the first place. So the trailer got a little squirrely. It leaned to the driver's side and it straightened out, but then it would lean way to the passenger side. But by that time, the material was out of the trailer. But it was still kind of a, we got the video. I don't know if JR is going to post it or not. It
was a butt pucker moment a little bit.
It's a little bit of a butt pucker, yeah. So keep, if you back onto something to get level, you have to stay on that to stay level. That's just.
Yeah, and just to clarify on that, Jam, you've backed up there. You need to set your trailer brakes or pull that Johnny bar. That trailer needs to stay at that spot. Let the truck roll back to you. Get that, and the whole purpose you backed up there was to run the trailer up level. Right? Once that material or your trailer is all the way in the air and all the material's out, then you can pull the trailer forward.
Yep.
That trailer can dance around a little bit as you're empty side to side. Mm-hmm. It's nothing's gonna happen to it, right? Because it's empty. There's no weight up there to take it over. So, yeah, just simply set your brakes and run the trailer all the way up. We know you need to pull forward to get the material out, but you're not on concrete. You're on a dirt job. Yep. Run that trailer all the way up, get the material out of the nose, then pull forward.
Yep. We had our culture meeting this morning. The driver said, there's things I don't know. I don't know how to dump a trailer that's not level. And I mean, the answer is, well, you make it level and then you dump it. Yeah, nobody knows.
I loved that answer, Jam. I tried to get all technical in my head, and you just spit it right out. Well, the easiest way to dump it is get level.
Yep.
That's right. So, you make it level.
That's the name of the game. Who's out there this weekend? I mean, I know we don't know the drivers. I heard Super Dave, you're going to be there.
I'm working, yep.
Yeah, I'll be there.
You'll be there. And then I don't know if Scooby or Pat's on, but should have a pretty good crew over there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, the progress we've made the last several weeks, getting it done. I mean,
it looks so different.
I'm kind of doing math in my head, and I'm going with, okay, 5 more Saturdays, we're done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what.
Yeah, 2 Saturdays put a dent in it, especially since I was gone.
Yeah.
And then come back. And you see the difference, and it's good stuff, good material, and good.
How did we come across all this dirt in the first place? I've been meaning to ask.
Just called around.
Yeah,
Dave,
contacts.
We both, both me and Dave talked about, different places we should call. And, Dave called Kiewit, and it was a guy they actually asked us to do some hauling last year, and we couldn't. And Dave called him, and the guy's like, I don't know, let me check around. What are you after? And Dave was kind of pretty blunt with him and goes, hey, we're cheap truckers, free dirt, we'll move it, And guy called us back, is like, well, here's all the free dirt, we'll load it. And Dave's like, perfect.
Ding, 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 we have a winner.
But that's a partnership. And again, you guys, it all goes back to what's our reputation?
Right.
What's our culture? How do we look like? Are we wanted? That guy knows that when Dave calls him and says, we'll have 10 trucks there, or whatever the number is, on Saturday, who shows up with 10 trucks?
Yep.
We do.
Yeah.
And that's important. Builds our brand.
Yep.
It
was pretty cool to watch Brother Dave out there too. We were doing our thing, and the next thing you know, he's doing some weird stuff, and it's like whatever.
Weird stuff.
Thanks, Jam.
Running the blade or what?
No, he did run the blade, and then he jumped on a loader, and next thing you know, he's like working on the back of the piles that we just built up there, and next thing you know, he builds a ramp and a road, and now we're dumping on top of what we just dumped. He just made this like horseshoe basically of a raised, and then he was just pushing. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. Dave's
we
over
needed
there.
compaction, Dave.
Yep.
Only way to get compaction is loaded trucks need to drive on it.
Yeah,
We'll roll that.
Yeah, you've driven on our dirt jobs, right, Super Dave?
I sure have.
How many years with Dad? And you got to drive on the stuff because we compact stuff.
Yep.
18 tires, it's compacted.
Yeah, and we're sitting there talking about a 41,000-pound weight on your trailer. I guarantee you our boys were heavier than that this week. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. And I tell you what, for that being a brand new level, you witnessed it, Jam, because I had you stand there and be their eyes, because the first few loads, that ramp was pretty tight, and I wanted you there as as security there, like, hey, don't get too close to this, right? And those trucks pulled in. I bet they didn't go down 1 inch.
Yeah, it's good material.
It's great material. Yeah.
I haven't been exposed to that stuff that much. So to just feel how hard that got so quick, it's just like, wow.
There's a certain amount of natural moisture in it. We're not losing much to compaction because the rule of thumb is 30%. You got a material that we're not losing that much. That's all win-win.
Yeah, all that stuff. It was hard.
Hard enough to build a building on.
Yeah.
Those are things though, Jam, you can't explain that. I mean, you need to sit down and like draw that out in detail. It needs to be a picture, right? Of here's where we're starting. This is what it's going to look like. This is what it's going to become. This is what we need to continue it. And I was already talking to you about, well, I think I can keep 2 or 3 trucks busy on that side. And then we can take the rest of the trucks and possibly start doing the same thing on the north end. So it'll make it even faster for them to dump because they're not, taking the travel out of it. Because everything's about time and money.
Yeah, you don't have to back up.
I mean, this may be free dirt. They may be loading it, but it's costing us a shitload every Saturday, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's costing us, what's the biggest payday around here? Saturday, right? We're paying everybody for that.
Yeah, I thought about that because I was just sweeping tailgates off. I was like, I hope he feels like he's getting his money's worth today, But
you made it so much faster for all the drivers, Jam. You were amazing, man. You were helping spot them, popping gates.
Yeah, I had my
cleaning tail. I mean, that's a piece of the puzzle that you just jumped in and was like, hey, that's going to make this faster.
Oh yeah,
right.
I didn't mind doing it. I swept off 80-something tailgates that day. I had my Fitbit on. I had 16,913 steps before I left. I think Jfw was the last truck I swept his tailgate off. I looked at you and JR. I was like, you guys need anything else? I'm out. It got pretty hot out there. I didn't drop my pancakes in the dirt this week, though, so that was good. The first week I was out there, I had this protein pancake. Well, there's 2 of them, and I ate one, and I was like, oh, this is so great. And that's after a week of, like, hell with the food program.
Right.
I'm eating this pancake, and boop, right in the dirt.
Oh. That sucks.
Yeah, I had a death grip on it this week. But the dirt job, it's a good time. And, to walk away from there and look at what it was before we got there and then just the little bit of change we made. Because if you do that every week, 5 more weeks, change. And now you got something completely different. So it was a cool experience. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. All I can picture, Jam, is you with a broom in one hand and this pancake gripped in the other, trying to sweep stuff.
I mean, he's so funny, man. He's on this food program, and all I do is see him eat.
Yeah.
Like out there Saturday, we were there for 6-7 hours, and I'm like, every time I turn, Jam's eating. Like I turn around, Jam's eating. Turn around, Jam's eating. I'm like, damn. I need to get better.
That's a good food program.
It is. Yeah. It is, Jam. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to eat to lose, and it depends what you're eating and how you're eating it, and. If you eat clean, you could eat a lot more than you think you can.
Oh, I can. Yeah,
no kidding.
Some things fuel the body, and some things.
Yeah, in a way, the guy that I'm working with, he's a magician. Like, just all the you want to talk about weird? He does all this weird stuff with the food program. Like, this week I'm carb loading, carb sliding. So started off like Monday, pretty heavy on the carbs. Good carbs though, sweet potatoes, oatmeal, brown rice, not like garbage. You know what I mean? I could have an apple if I worked out, post-workout to, boost your muscle glycogen, stuff like that. Well, Tuesday, 1 meal has no carbs in it. Today, 2 meals have no carbs. By the end of the week, I'm no carbs. So I started out carb loading, slid them out. Yeah, it's just weird because I've gained a little weight this week, but I know by the end of the week, the way this guy works, it's like, Saturday.
Just going to slide back off.
Saturday morning, I'll be lighter than I was last
before.
Saturday.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
that's awesome.
But it's pretty cool, and it's like, I don't know. It's a love-hate thing. You know what I mean? You guys know how I used to eat cheeseburgers, pizza, whatever I wanted for my whole life, and to have to actually diet.
I'd watch you go through like 6 of those foot-long French bread.
I was going to say, you
garlic
cook those
butter
thing.
they always smell so damn good.
Yeah,
I'm just
so
like,
amazing.
damn, that's just a wicked ass piece of garlic bread.
My mouth is watering. Oh, that's so funny. Soup, you want to hit us with a high road hauler?
Sure, I got a high road hauling here for everybody. I think this is something people can take something positive away from. So, first, what 3 things can make you a success? Everybody think about that. Eating right. That can make you a success.
Yeah.
Huh? That's not in my high road hauling, though. Sorry.
Like-minded people.
Yep.
Minded people.
So let's start with persistence. Persistence is the ability to maintain action regardless of your feelings, when you press on even when you feel like quitting. When you work on any big goal, your motivation will wax and wane like waves hitting the shore. Sometimes you feel motivated and sometimes you won't. It's not your motivation that will produce results, it's your action. Persistence allows you to keep taking action even when you don't feel motivated to do so, and therefore you keep accumulating results. Persistence of action comes from persistence of vision. When you're super clear about what you want in such a way that your vision doesn't change much, you'll be more consistent and persistent in your actions, and that's what consistency of action will produce consistency of results. At the heart of any successful person is self-discipline. Whether it's success in their personal lives or the professional lives, it all starts with an inherent ability for self-control through discipline. Your thoughts, your emotions, your behaviors, and your habits, all of them must be kept in check. Persistence and discipline will ultimately provide its own motivation. If you simply keep taking action, you'll eventually get results. And results can be very motivating. For example, you may become a lot more enthusiastic about dieting and exercise once you've lost the first 10 pounds and you feel your clothes fitting more loosely. Theodore Roosevelt once said, "With self-discipline, most anything is possible." And Robert Kiyosaki asserted that confidence comes from discipline and training. Confidence is something that only comes when you know what you are doing. You have done it before, practiced, and trained. Self-confidence is born from knowing your abilities and limitations. It's important to strike a balance between too much and too little confidence. Either one will be detrimental to your success. Each of these ideas is powerful in their own right. A person who is persistent will push forward until the job is done. Someone who has self-discipline will not get distracted or contaminated by others. And when you have confidence in yourself and your decisions, you can stand tall and be proud with your choice. Together, these 3 things build champions in business, in society, and in life. And the quote this week comes from Calvin Coolidge. "Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. The slogan, 'Press on,' has solved and always will solve the problems of the human race." And what number president was Calvin Coolidge?
Oh, damn.
Wow, really?
I hope you have that answer.
I do. I looked it up, yeah, because I didn't know. So, I was curious. But anyway, he was president from 1923 to 1929, right before the Great Depression, and he was the 30th president.
Was he a Republican or Democrat?
He was Republican.
He's a good guy.
I don't think Democrats existed back then.
I don't know, out of all that, Dave, which was really good, omnipotent.
Omnipotent. That's a good word, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. How you doing today? I'm omnipotent.
I'm not sure
So was that guy after those 3 plates of beans?
Oh, that's funny, man.
That joke probably wasn't nearly as funny as it came out. After reading it this morning, I'm like, oh, this would be a great joke. I'll be able to roll right through it. And I just caught myself. I couldn't get through it.
What was so cool about that is, one, to see you laugh that hard. It made me feel
I
like...
have never seen Dave laugh that hard.
Yeah, I was like, he's in an okay place. Or he's not. I don't know.
I just needed that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? After yesterday
Right.
and just I've had a lot going on. I
that's
needed
what I
that
mean, like-
that like release of just energy to just go
Right.
just got to wash this shit off and
Yeah.
start over.
Yes.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Laughter is the best medicine.
Oh, it is,
It
Dave.
truly
yeah.
is for
yeah.
for everybody.
Yeah,
Yes.
you got to laugh about it and move on. And
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Final thoughts, everybody?
Dave or anybody?
I
or-
think I just gave you mine.
I think
now
that's
that I think about it, you know what I mean? I think that was my final thoughts. You gotta laugh about it and move on. We'll
Yep.
survive. We'll
Cleanse.
get through it. Yeah. and
Yeah,
it's-
cleanse.
You know, you continue to evolve, right? I mean, you know, this might be a setback, but it wasn't an ending,
No.
right?
Yeah.
It was, and when I say a setback, you know, I mean, nothing in there was detrimental to our business.
Right.
It's just going to become more hoops, more, right? You know, and
We're going to feel a little bit more unwanted.
Yeah,
Dave.
yeah.
And that's what I mean, when you asked me that and talked about it, that's what crushed me the most.
Yeah.
We're more unwanted.
Right.
we just try so hard, you know, not to be political, and here I am sitting here saying, what has government done for you?
Right.
You know, and I guess I take that statement after yesterday and I feel like, what has government done to you?
Right.
Is how I feel we left yesterday. Government didn't do anything to help us yesterday. It did nothing to help us.
Yep.
You know, and it just it's a little hard to swallow day in, day out. That's all.
But as you know, you could lose a couple battles and still win the war.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go Sean Forrest, go Joe Domenico.
Yeah.
Bam.
Absolutely. Yeah, mine this week, I try to keep it where it's somewhat simple, you know, easy to follow. And I had to read this several times to let it soak in, so I'll read it and maybe you guys can pick it up a little quicker than what I did. But it says here, a fact is information minus emotion. You know, so I had to think about it. Just the fact, no emotion there. And then it says an opinion is information plus experience. So I'm thinking, okay,
I like that.
right? So here's the information, and then that's your opinion, right? But you got that information in your opinion because you gained experience. You know, we know it's bad not to wipe the back of the trailers off, right? From experience, okay? So ignorance is an opinion lacking information. So I'm going to spout some shit out, but you know, it's my opinion, but it's based on no information. You know, not doing a thing, right, you guys? And then how it ends is, and stupidity is an opinion that ignores the fact. And I just, you know, I tried to concentrate on the word stupidity and stupid, you know, and it doesn't hold the same thing. But if you think about that, you know, ignores the facts. Here's the facts. Don't be ignorant or stupid about the facts. You have to look at the facts. So kind of, you just have to be open-minded, I guess, would be my final thought there.
I like it.
Yeah.
My final thought today is it's very easy to just be comfortable and therefore complacent. Let's all try to raise our bar a little bit today.
I like it. I like
Very
it.
cool.
Yeah.
My final thoughts, my church is doing a sermon series called Change the World, and they gave you 4 steps to changing the world. The first one is you got to change yourself, and you change yourself by changing your heart. The second one is impact your circle and be famous to your family. The third one is influence your arena, which I think JFW is our arena, and we can influence that and the people here and help them change their hearts and their lives. And then the 4th step is change your world. But it's pretty cool, and I thought about you, Jim, right away. I can't hear the word or see the word arena without thinking about your Theodore Roosevelt quote. That anytime I see or hear that quote, I think of you because you're the first person that's ever told me that quote, and I always correlate those two. But I didn't go to church this past Sunday because I was just burnt out. I explained to my wife I need some time to myself, and you know, I got to take my foot off the gas just a little bit. so I could put it back on come Monday, you know. So anyway, of course, I'm going to watch the sermon now, right? Because you don't actually have to go to church physically anymore. You can still watch it, and very rarely I do that. But the name of the sermon this week was called "Enter the Arena," and again, I was like, man, this would have been a good one for Jim, and whatever. I'm not going to talk about the whole sermon, but part of that is critics don't count. Because, you know, in the quote, it's not the critic. It's the person who entered the arena.
Who does the deed.
Who does the deed, right? Don't let your critics affect your calling. You know, if you feel called to do something, don't let critics affect that. And Sean, he started saying things like, you should go home and put a list together of all the people in your life whose opinion really matters to you, and then forget about the rest of the critics. You know, so to me, like, do I care what you and Jim, Dave think of me? Absolutely. I mean, we're a work family, you know. Do I care what my wife and daughter or my parents think of me? Absolutely. Do I care about what somebody from the outside looking in thinks about me when I'm trying to, you know, be called to do something? Absolutely not. So critics don't count. That's my final thought.
And that's hard to do, you know, to say, I don't care what anybody says. And then on the inside of your head, you're like, really? You know,
not to be confused with, it's okay to accept criticism as well. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be able to accept constructive criticism. It's not to be like, I'm right, everybody's wrong. Like, you can, but don't let them criticize your calling or what you believe in or what you feel like you should be doing.
Yeah, I take that a little bit different, Jam, because I care what everybody thinks, which, you know, you don't necessarily have to do. But I gather from what you just said that who really counts is the people that count the most to you.
Yes.
What they think of you. And that's what really matters. And that's where I would have trouble separating that I need to concentrate.
Yeah.
Because the one quote I seen where, you know, how you ended that one where go out and change the world, right? I seen a quote someplace, and I've probably messed it up, but the reason it sticks to me is to change the world, sometimes you have to change yourself first.
That's the first thing. Change your heart is the first step of changing the world.
Right? And you truly you just have to reflect on yourself so many times. You know, and I when you say you got to take your foot off the gas there, I think sometimes you just need to recharge that battery.
Yeah.
And just, you know, I enjoy my days off here, you know, my weekends or whatever, whether it's being with the family or stuff. But so many times it just rejuvenates me for my work here, you know, and me and Dave both talk about that, where it's just that little bit of glimpse of what the battle could look like.
Yeah, I mean, for me, you know, when I told my wife I need to take care of myself, it wasn't anything huge. Like, when I got home from the dirt job, I was like, I'm going to take a 3-hour nap. That's what I feel like I need. Well, Ace and Bella weren't home. I took a shower. I got in bed, and I couldn't fall asleep. But I stayed in bed for 3 hours and just relaxed. I don't ever get to do that. That's like, you know, it's unheard. Like, I couldn't believe it myself. And then I don't usually go to the gym on the weekends, but I fell behind. So I went to the gym that night, and you know, we didn't wake up.
More steps.
Got in some more steps. Yeah. Didn't. You know, I didn't go to church the next day, but I did. You know, do some other things around the house, mowed the grass, finished getting a wrap off the Jeep. You know, but those are just things like that. Was still taking care of myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Ended up getting another workout that day, and man, Monday morning came around. I'm probably good to go another 6 months the way I've been going before I would need to do something like that again.
Yeah.
But I just needed some time to, like, don't fill my plate with anything.
Yeah.
You know, I need to just clear off what I got on my plate type thing, you know what I mean?
Right.
So anyway.
I don't want to. I feel like we're sparking another debate. You know what I mean?
Just a little conversation.
These are supposed
right?
to be final thoughts, but I mean,
let's go.
I think at this table we've all been blessed. You know, you say to make a list and write down who really cares about you, right? Or what you care, what they think about you, right? We've been blessed to have people around us that we care what they think.
Right.
There are a lot of people that haven't had that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there's a big difference there. You know, there's a lot of people that they have people around them that don't care about them, and that's you have to keep that in mind.
That's a lonely road, isn't
That's
it?
a
Dave?
whole other battle.
when you think about it.
I'm not saying they're alone. I'm just saying they have people around them that don't care about them, even though they're together, Jim. Right. I know what you're saying, being alone.
I picture
they're not
alone
truly
because
alone.
They just don't have somebody that cares.
Well, that or they're just, we're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
They're not good friends,
Right.
Yeah.
right? Or good family. And some people
Yeah.
are stuck in those situations.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and hopefully they can see that and, drag themselves to a higher bar.
Yeah.
Right?
What's your circle look like?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your I mean, I've had some good circles and bad circles.
Right?
So, yeah. All right. I think that's a wrap. Let's read the creed and get to work.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Together we face and overcome all that stands before us. Together we are accident-free. Together we joyfully create honest value for those we serve. Together we celebrate our differences and respect those with whom we work. Together we are accountable for our words and our actions. Together we are the JFW family.
Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Yep.
Thanks,
Have a great
everybody.
week.